Hi guys, it's Rosemary with Good Journeys Tarot, and I am going to try this video for the fourth time, and hopefully we'll get through it without too many problems. I do have a whiny dog next to me. I still cannot get them to leave me alone long enough to do a video. Um, so I saw this really great little tag on Amy's channel, Strength Reverse. Um, your first name in oracles and tarot. And so what she did was show decks and books that kind of lined up with her name. And I'm going to do that as well. So my name is Rosemary. So there's two R's. So I did choose two decks for R, and they both ended up being RWS decks because I don't have any other decks that start with the letter R. So let's just jump right in. And I'm going to be reaching across the room for them because I had them set out to do this shoot a different way and it didn't work for me. So this is the first one, which is the Radiant Wise Spirit. And of course, we've mostly all seen this by now. It has this beautiful lilies and rose back that I love. And the only problem with this deck is that it is very high gloss, so I don't really like that. It makes the edges a little weird for me. I did edge it, but I decided not to edge it in black because I felt like I had too many RWS decks already in black. And so the colors are really great on this deck. You'll see here they're very vibrant, and it's a great deck to work with. And I enjoyed it. It's borderless, which is great. Now, I'll say like I always do, if you see the deck this is based on anywhere, the first edition of the Pamela Coleman Smith RWS that Los Scarabeo did, for sale, let me know because I want the deck. So R-O. O is for Oracle of Echoes. And so I first came into the knowledge of Anatorian when I was in the Bumstone and Earthflesh group on Facebook. And so I ordered her deck because I do love her artwork. This is the back, and you'll see I've edged it on alternating colors of a shiny red and shiny black, which kind of go with the back. And here are just some of the images in it that I think are lovely. So, yeah, she does great artwork, and I'm looking forward to the Bonestone and Earthflesh when it finally arrives. And this kind of brings up a really odd thought that I've had recently. One of the things I've noticed is that with more modern decks, when we talk about the name of the author for the deck, we almost always go to the person who came up with the idea or wrote the book. So like Barbara Moore's decks, she came up with the ideas, she wrote the book, but she was not the artist for those decks, but we still say they're Barbara Moore's books. But then I see people constantly wanting to say, well, it should be the Smith Waite because Pamela Coleman Smith did all the artwork. But if A.E. Waite directed her on what to do and he wrote the book, then wouldn't it be the Waite deck and not the Smith Waite deck? Or, I don't know. I don't know why we do that. But I do like when they include both the author and the artist on the cover of the box because I think the author is just as important. And in some cases, we want to place emphasis on the artist over the author. But I don't know why it's different for the RWS than for modern decks. If you have thoughts on that, let me know. I'm not saying that I think it should be the Waite deck. I think it should be the Smith Waite deck or the Waite Smith deck, either way you want to look at it. But I think the same should be true of all of these other decks where the artwork was done by someone other than the author of the book. That's a side note. For S, I actually had several decks I could have used, but I chose the Spirit Keepers Tarot. This is the Vitruvian edition. You've all seen me show it by now, but it is in sepia tone. And one of the things about this deck is I only use it once or twice a month, because when I use this deck, I always deep dive. So it's not a deck where I'm just going to do a random reading. When I do a reading with this, I journal about it. I look at all of the images in the cards and study all of the esoteric meanings that Benebell has ascribed to stuff in here, and that kind of thing. So it's more of a deep dive deck for me than most of my other decks, which I will do random readings with. ROSE, and E is for the Ellis deck. So this is a deck which I would also love to find the first edition of. So if you know where I can get that, you have it for sale, let me know in the comments. But it has these great, they're not reversible backs, but I love this whole, all-seeing eye, reversing of the light and the shadow. It's just gorgeous. And one of the other great things about this deck is that each suit has a theme. So you'll see here that the cups have mermaids in them. The pentacles have these people in them. And there are some boars, I think, in here as well. Let's see. There's the swords, which feature crows or ravens. There's our high priestess. She's just gorgeous. And let's see, there's our Nine of Pentacles. Let's see if we can find our wands. The wands feature foxes. There we go. And so I really like this deck and how he organized it. And all of the suits, as well as the major arcana, tell a story. And I've read the stories that he wrote for them, and I like that. I like that the images all go together and they tell a story. And that's something that several decks have tried to do, some with more success than others. So now we get to M. And M is going to be the moon deck. So, pardon me, I just did a reading with this deck for the new moon. And I pulled these three cards, so these are the three cards I'm going to show you. It came with this box. There is a guidebook which actually gives you rituals or practices that you can do that correspond with all of the cards. It has kind of a moon and kind of ethereal sky back on it. And then on the front there's just oracle cards. So this was one of the cards I drew for the next 2 weeks, which is I am the weaver of my own reality. And then this one, my community is supportive, loving, and active in the world. And then finally, I craft my core desires with certainty and ease. And so these are kind of the thoughts that I'm taking into the next couple of weeks as we progress from the new moon to the full moon. And I actually am planning to do one of the rituals in this book for one of those cards over the next couple of days. Very excited about that. A. So for a while I was like, I have nothing for A. I have nothing for A. And then I remembered that I had seen the Ator Tarot on Becoming Temperance's channel. And so I did get it because I had been looking for like a more plain, full, and clean kind of deck. So it's just these kind of little cartoony characters. They kind of remind me of Beaker from the Muppets. And but it's strictly RWS clone, and but I like this. It's simple, yet it has all the imagery that we're looking for. There's there's not distracting in the way that some simple decks can be, and they don't leave out the imagery that I think is important in a lot that some decks do when they try to simplify or make them more childlike or appealing. So that's the Ator Tarot, and you should be able to get it on like eBay or on Amazon from the author. I think it was supposed to be a limited run, but they seem to still be pretty largely available. It is like playing card size. It's not tarot size, so it's a little bit smaller than normal. And speaking of small, my other R deck, which you already know is going to be an RWS deck, is the Radiant Rider Waite. It was the only other deck I had with it that had an R at the beginning. And I think we've all seen the Rider Waite deck, and we've seen these beautiful images in this deck, so I'm not going to go over that. But I did have it in a 10 because I was going to Reader Studio today. And before it was canceled, and so as I'm recording this, I would have been on a flight, and so I had it to travel with. And why? Well, I have no tarot decks that start with a Y, but I do have one book which I mentioned in a recent video, which is Your Tarot Court, which I'm currently working through, and I have just finished looking through the book for the Page of Wands. And so today I'll be drawing a new card that I'll be going through the book chapter by chapter and reading about that card, because I found that more helpful to me than reading through the book. And I actually discovered, after having had the book for a while, these little spreads for each card that she has in the back, which have really actually been very, very fun, very informative. I enjoyed that. So that is my name in decks and books. I hope that you've enjoyed it and you've got to see a few things from my collection that maybe you haven't seen in a little while. Until next time, good journeys.